I didn't expect any introduction at all, so it's nice to get hyped up every once in a while. I'm muted.
You're good.
Okay, sweet. Before, I guess since no one really knows me since I'm from Texoma Division, do you guys mind if I just tell you guys how I got started before I go ahead and get into the actual spiel?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. So how many of you guys want to be a Little League umpire? Okay, nobody. Perfect. It should be nobody, right? So before Vector Cutco, I was actually a Little League umpire. Wasn't terrible for a 15, 16-year-old kid, but getting chased by 6-year-olds with metal objects and getting yelled at by angry parents only gets so fun, right? And like I said, it wasn't terrible, but after 2 seasons in, I realized that no matter how hard I worked, I could put in twice the hours, I could do twice the games, I could make twice as many calls. But no matter how hard I worked, the only people who got rewarded were the old bald guys who would go and drink beer behind the 12-year-old dugouts, which seemed a little backwards to me at the time, right? Work twice as hard, get no reward. And so eventually, I just kind of quit out of frustration after 2 seasons. And then I was jobless for like 3 or 4 months, as my senior year. And I remember my parents like, Jacob, like, get a job. Like, it is time to get moving and get a job. And I was like, perfect, I'll get on it. Never actually did anything. And then I remember my friend down the street, Logan, called my mom and was like, hey, got this new job selling knives. Can I do a presentation? I'd known Logan since like kindergarten. So my mom was like, yeah, of course. Like, since diapers, like, coming over. Right. He did it. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought it was just really sketchy that they gave a 17-year-old kid knives in the first place. Right. But he brought food to cut up, and we actually ate to eat for a living. Yeah. So I asked if his boss was still hiring. Luckily, she was. And so I went ahead and scheduled an interview. Now, before I went into my interview, I went into some research on Vector. And that's when I found out, hey, they're USA Today Top 20. They're top 50 for diversity, top 50 places for teens, top 50 places for work-life balance. I was like, okay, maybe this is somewhere where I can actually stay. Or maybe this is somewhere I can get my feet going. So obviously, I got offered a shot at the training, right? Obviously, I got the job after that. And shortly after that, right, that summer, or my first weekend, I remember I just had a few appointments and I made about $500 in my first 3 days of work. And for a 17-year-old kid, I was like, this is the most money thing I've ever made, like in the shortest period of time ever. I feel like I won the lottery, right? And that summer, I worked about 5 to 10 hours a week and made about $5,000 in about 2 to 3 months. And for me, like, that was nuts. Now, obviously, I blew it pretty fast, right? Didn't exactly have great money management skills. But that's when I kind of realized that, hey, maybe this place where I can stay. And I found myself in an office with D1 athletes, valedictorians, sales professionals, some really hardworking and talented individuals. That's when I kind of recognized the Vector culture as well, right? So the next summer, I worked twice as hard and made twice as much, right? Which I think is how it should be, right? So that summer, I worked about 25 hours a week, demos plus being in the office, and made about $10,000 that summer as assistant manager, right? Our number 1 assistant manager in Oklahoma and Northeast Texas. I actually got offered a spot to open up a branch, right? Which obviously I did last summer. Right. So last summer I did sell, or that summer, excuse me, I sold about $20,000 for the Cutco that summer, earned 2 trophies, right, and got to open a branch after that. So I do want to talk to you guys about why I did it in the first place. Now, there's a proverb, you guys probably heard it before, but it's to whom much is given, of whom much is expected, right? Every one of you is here for a reason, and I truly believe that. And every one of you has different gifts, right? Mia gave a great talk earlier, right? Christina gave a great talk earlier. Cody gave a great introductory speech. You guys all had different gifts, and I believe that if you have those gifts, you're obligated to use them, right? And then there's a story I'm going to tell. It's kind of lengthy, but bear with me. But I think it kind of shines the Vector opportunity into light. So it's about King Louis the 14th. It's kind of old, but bear with me for a little bit. So King Louis the 14th had been taken from his throne and imprisoned. His young son, the Prince Louis the 15th, was taken by those who dethroned the king. They thought that inasmuch as the king's son was heir to the throne, if they could destroy him morally, he would never realize the great and grand destiny that life had bestowed upon him. They took him to a community far away, and there they exposed Lot to every filthy and vile thing they could offer. They exposed him to foods, the richest of which would quickly make him a slave to appetite. They used vile language around him constantly. They exposed him to lewdness and lust. They exposed him to dishonor and distrust. He was surrounded 24 hours a day by everything that could drag the soul as low as one could slip. For over 6 months of this treatment, but not once did the young lad buckle under pressure. So finally, after intensive temptation, they questioned him. Why had he not submitted himself to these things? Why had he not partaken? These things brought pleasure and were desirable, and they were all his. And the boy said, I cannot do what you ask, for I was born to be a king. And he's now known as Louis the Beloved, right? If you are here, you are destined for greatness. And I truly believe that. But you're never going to realize that true greatness, your true potential, if you see yourself as average, right? As a manager, I believe that's our job, is to help other students see themselves as better than average, right? Vector is a people development business. Knives are literally just the vehicle that we have to make things happen. I remember one of the most impactful moments of my career. It was last summer, so summer 20, and I got a new rep. His name was Rudy, right? And it was like first 2 weeks. I was still pretty new to it. But I remember we were talking, it was Rudy's fast start. We were talking about his fast start goals. And Rudy had immigrated, his family immigrated from Mexico. I think now it'd be like 11 years ago. And he didn't have much, right? We were talking about goals, and he set his goals pretty low. He was like, hey, Rudy, like, you're a smart kid. Like, you can do way more than this. And we were talking about, like, you know, he's like, what should I do? What should I shoot for? And we kind of rabbit hole down like financial routes and such. And he eventually asked me he asked me what a Roth IRA was. And getting to explain to him that, hey, if you work now, like, you're not going to ever have to worry about money later. If you put money in this, like, you won't have to worry about your family's financial standings in 30 years. Seeing his eyes light up and seeing the way that talk, that 30 seconds of explaining just that, like, impacted him is why we do the business, right? Because of our ability to impact other people, right? To impact those. So I do want to talk about kind of what I learned and what you can learn too. So first off, I learned how to set and achieve goals. Guys, goals are just dreams with work boots on. And Cody's going to talk about TLA in a little bit. Is he going to talk about TLA? TLA? Or GCLA, my bad. Same, we call it TLA for us. But it's going to be understanding, like, you're going to learn how to understand the numbers, how to run a PC, how to run an effective PC, how to truly impact people, and kind of how to achieve those goals and achieve those dreams and make them happen, right? And I learned how to do that through branching. I learned how to influence people, right? The goal of being a great leader is that the influence of your example should exceed the authority of your rank, right? The influence of your example should exceed the authority of your rank. Each one of you is a great individual, and you can make a splash just by having a great image and being able to have people see that image and say, hey, I want to be Kathy Christen. I want to be Cody Rose, right? I want to be, insert your name here, right? It also taught me, how leadership is a transfer of belief, right? Even giving an interview, right? We're sharing the vision, we're sharing the belief, we're sharing the mission, we're sharing the purpose. And I truly believe if you can sell one knife, you can run an office. Like, if you can sell a paring knife, you can lead an office. Because what is sales all about? Sales is all about that transfer of belief. It's all about, hey, Mrs. Jones, this knife is going to be way better for cutting steak than your Woo stuff, right? And it's going to be way better at this and that. If you can transfer that belief, you can transfer that belief to a rep and say, hey, we're going to be number one. I'm going to turn you into a champion. You're going to be able to pay for your own college, et cetera, right? And it also teaches, branching also teaches your strengths and weaknesses, right? Like, I learned for myself that I'm great at big picture thinking. I'm great at creating a vision. I'm great at inspiring. Not so great at communication, right? And that, ironically, is like one of the cornerstones of being a branch, unfortunately, right? So it really teaches you your strengths and weaknesses and how to improve your strengths and focus on those and round off your weaknesses, right? And talk about what you can gain from the branching opportunity as well. So for myself, I managed to pay my way through A&M, right? I paid for my first year A&M already, and I have over $20,000 invested. I'm looking at purchasing a home by the time I turn 20, which for me, I consider that a win, right? As a 19-year-old kid, right? You make straight 50% as branch. If that isn't an incentive enough, I don't know what the heck is, right? 50% is amazing. No bonuses, just straight in a direct deposit, right? I got the Team Builder Scholarship as well. I managed to get $250 from Team Builder Scholarship. They've actually increased it this year to where you can actually earn more. I got $250. I think it was like 10th place. I want to say, like, barely won it. And now you only have to be top 30, right? I think, Mia, you're like number 1 right now, right?
Yeah,
exactly, right? Yeah, that was nice. So, but seriously, guys, talk to literally any manager about running a budget workshop, running a financial PC. I know, John, you're talking about investing, I think, earlier, right? Or Mia mentioned that a little bit earlier.
She was just bragging about me.
Oh, okay, the usual. So, no, but talk to literally any manager about running that PC with you, running that workshop for you. Another thing it's going to get for you is a nearly unbeatable resume. I know if you guys were on the region call, it was like talking about dipping your resume in gold and getting that President's Club letter. Guys, running a branch, running an office, even the assistant manager opportunity, it's like studying it with diamonds after it's already dipped in gold, right? Getting to talk to an employer, especially like I know a lot of my friends go into investment banking, getting to talk to an investment banking firm and saying, hey, I managed to actually run my own company. I did all the recruiting, I did all the coaching, I did all the training, and I managed to earn X amount. I managed to do this or that, or turn this person into another manager, right? And getting to spread my circle of influence, building your network, right? And lastly, it's going to give you that growth Last summer when I branched was the biggest year for personal growth for me ever. Right, I learned so many things, put blood, sweat, and tears. Well, maybe not blood. That would be a little weird, right? But I did put sweat and tears into the business, right? I learned how to focus on my skill set, learn what I'm good at, right? What I'm bad at, like I mentioned earlier. I got to really hammer in my work ethic. I got to say, hey, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do it right. And then lastly, I got to leave a lasting legacy, right? Guys, if your past is gonna be a precedent for where you're going in the future, the legacy is what you've left behind, right? And it's nice to be able to talk to someone, hey, and say, hey, Jacob, you really impacted me through that, or hey, Cody, you really impacted me there. Hey, Kathy, you taught me this or that. And being able to be that mentor for someone is one of the most powerful things you can experience in your life. And I truly believe that. And lastly, if you're not already convinced, I want to give you just a couple more reasons, right? So first off, we want you guys to do it. We want as many people as possible, as many people of you guys to branch or go DM, right? And that's because the demand for leadership always exceeds the supply. We're never going to run into Cutco reps. Literally never. If you guys have seen Trey Ketchum's or Kathy's recruiting numbers, they're through the roof. We're never going to run into Cutco reps. We're never going to run into managers either. There's always going to be someone who wants to run their own business, an entrepreneur who wants to lead, an entrepreneur who wants to run their own business, run a district, run a branch. But we're not going to have enough leaders. We're not going to have enough influential people who are truly making an impact. And that's why I want you guys to be able to branch and be able to district, because you can truly make an impact. You can truly improve the lives of others around you, right? Now there's a question I want to ask you guys. So nature or nurture? Just raise your hand if you think it's nature. I know you guys have heard this before, right? People are who they are because of like nature, because of their experiences. Anyone? Nature? All right, now raise your hand if it's nurture. Like you believe that you make yourself who you are, more so. Well, it's both, right? It's both. Yeah, that was kind of a lame trick question. I know like a lot of you guys thought through it, but there's a quote that I like by John Gordon, or I think it's Jeff Gordon, my bad. And it's, our background and our circumstances may have influenced who we are, but we are responsible for who we become. In that branch, you kind of learn to take your destiny by the horns and you kind of make it what you want to be. You get to look at your path outlook, your career outlook, and you get to make it what you want, right? And if any of you guys are doubtful, David Romero is one of the most powerful stories I can possibly think of. David Romero came to the States when he was 17, or I think he was 16, didn't speak a lick of English. He went into the South Texas division with Nick Smith, ended up running, and within I think it was like a year and a half later, ran a Silver Cup office. Went from not speaking any English at all to running a Silver Cup office in a brand new division, right? And if that's not enough encouragement for you guys, I really don't know what is. And lastly, a lot of you guys are like, well, hey, Jacob, like I really like the opportunity, and like thank you for sharing this, but it's just not the time, right? I'll do it one day. I'm gonna put in the future. I'm gonna do it one day, right? Well, it's either one day or 2 day. You can create those habits now. You can create those long-term habits now, and you can get started on working on that. Or you can say, hey, I'll put in the future. And then in 5 years, you're gonna say, hey, I'll put in the future. And then we'll see you in another 5 years. You haven't done it yet. So I want to encourage you guys to start those habits now, get started today, and really lock in on it. Other than that, I may not know much, right? I'm just 19. I'm a freshman. I'm in fraternity. That probably adds a little bit to the but I do know that based on looking around today, seeing how you guys have reacted on the conference, I know you guys have a lot of potential, each and every one of you, right? And if you want to talk to me about what I saw in you, please, I would love to, because you guys have what it takes to create an impact and leave a lasting legacy, right? You just need to unlock that potential. Other than that, I'm excited to get to know each and every one of you, right? I've only been in this division for like 3 months now, so I know literally nobody besides like the College Station office. So if you guys are coming to talk golf, I'll get to talk to you guys tonight. Yeah. But I look forward to getting to grow with you guys, grow the business, and I'm excited to get to meet you guys. Thank you.
Awesome.